Testing, testing. Can you hear us okay? Good to go?
Nice.
Great. Okay, well, welcome everyone to the September 20th, 2023 Facebook Live.
I'm Sam. I'm one of the banding apprentices here at the field station.
And my name's Mike, and I'm one of the avian ecologists that work out at the field station.
And we'd like to welcome you to the Palomarin field station here at the Point Reyes National Seashore in Bolinas, California. And today our hope is to chat a little bit about fall migration here at Palomarin. We're approaching peak fall migration season out here. We'd also like to chat a little bit about our upcoming bird-a-thon events and hopefully show you a bird or two in hand.
And luckily, we are going to be able to show you at least one bird. Our coworker Diana is coming back with a bird right now. And we're, when we started back in 1966 banding out of here, outreach was one of the things that we, in conjunction with the National Seashore, were thinking would be a really, great use of this space. And so we're so excited to be able to get to share this banding with you all through the means of the internet. If you wouldn't mind putting in the comments, how you heard about us, where you're calling in from, we'd love to know how you found out about the banding out here. Great.
We're also excited that the field station is again open for in-person visitors. So if it's great that people can engage with us through virtual events, but we're happy to have people come in for in-person visits. We've been excited to see a lot of visitors this past summer and are hoping for more.
And how many days are we banding out at the field station right now?
Right now, until the end of the fall, we are banding at the field station 6 days of the week, all days except for Mondays. So if you show up any day other than Mondays, especially in the mornings is when we are banding birds, we'd be totally happy to show you the birds and take you for a walk on the net trail.
And we, again, are open in the morning time period. So we're only opening the nets for the first 6 hours of the morning, just after sunrise until about 1 o'clock right now. So if you'd like to come out and visit us and see banding happening in person, we'd recommend coming, about an hour after sunrise. And you can call the field station and listen to a voice message that is recorded daily by the apprentices, just to double check that we do have the nets open. We are, again, in coastal Northern California, just north of San Francisco, in the south end of the National Seashore. And today we are experiencing a little bit of smoky conditions, as I'm sure many of you in the Bay Area are experiencing. And there is a chance that if the AQI climbs during the course of this Facebook Live, that we might actually need to cut it a little bit short so that we can go close nets in time. Awesome. 2 birds? Oh, lovely. Yeah, come on. Everyone say hi to Diana Humple, senior avian ecologist at the field station. Bringing back 2 birds for us. Thanks so much.
Them one at a time, or?
I think that sounds great. So here at the field station, again, we are primarily banding birds, and it's migration season. So what do you guys, I'd love it if if you could put in the chat what you think migration is. And so when we catch birds in our mist nets, we bring them back in these soft pillowcases, pillowcase bags, and Sam is now holding the bush tit. Gave it away. We'll bring the bird a little bit closer before we let it go. Cool. And the first thing that we'll do with these birds, when we bring them back to the station, after figuring out what species we have in our hand, is put a band on them. We are permitted by the U.S. Geological Survey and the bird banding lab to be conducting this research, and all birds handled have been given proper permitting and training in advance. And so this band is a small aluminum band that has, it's a little silver ring almost. It's got 9 unique digits on it, and it's going to stay with this bird for the rest of its life. Okay.
All right. Oh, on the 0.
Oh, thank you.
So the band number is 297089137.
Great. You're in sequence, yeah. So we're giving this bush tit, who's like bush tits are one of our resident kind of denizens of the coastal scrub species. You might have bush tits in your backyard. They're a common backyard species. A size 0A, one of the tinier band sizes that we'll give birds. And Sam is now using specially shaped pliers to more or less shape the band around the bird's leg. Again, this band is going to stay on the bird for the rest of its life, and it's, an appropriate size and weight for this bird. So we're not putting anything too heavy on it, and there's no rubbing of the band on the bird's leg. Okay.
All right. Let's try sculling it.
Great. And then the first things that we're going to do after getting bands on the bird is figure out the bird's age, so how old is it, and figure out the bird's sex. Is it a male or a female? And we're not always able to figure out if the bird is a male or a female or not, depending on the type of year, but we give it a good try. We're using different resources that you may see in front of us to help with that process. What are some reasons that you all think we might be interested in studying the age or wanting to know the age and the sex of these birds? Drop an answer in the comments. And Sam right now, she's going through the process of what we call sculling the bird. Hopefully you on the internet can see this, but over the first few months of a bird's life after hatching from the egg, we are trained to look and see the process of bone growth. So peering through the bird skin, looking at the skull, and watching the process of skull ossification. Birds that are just out of their eggs, they're going to have one layer of bone on their head, and we'll be able to watch this second layer of bone grow in by peering through and looking for what we call these white dots on the bird's head, which are columns of bone forming between the 2 layers of skull. It's a tricky process. It sometimes needs the perfect lighting to go about doing it, and it's a really reliable way for us to be figuring out how old birds are in the fall, especially when we have birds that might be more or less looking like they're in the same plumage. So young birds at this time of year could look very similar to adults. They're no longer wearing their fresh out of the nest juvenile plumage. They've gone through some feather replacement by now.
I want to call it a skull of 4.
Great. So what Sam just said is that this bird does not have a fully ossified skull, and with our data scoring, we're going to call it a 4. Cool. So this is a young bird. It hatched this year, and there's also something really exciting about this bird that can tell us the bird's sex.
So I don't know if anyone can see the bird's eye color, but this bird has pale eyes. So that's a sign that it's a female.
Great. And so we can call this a hatchier female. And I'm not totally in the comments right now, but if anyone said we're looking at the age and sex of the bird to figure out demographics, ding, 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 you get a gold star. If you come out to the field station, I'll find that gold star for you. And now Sam is looking at the bird and seeing if there's any signs of molt on it.
And this bird is undergoing heavy body molt, so body molt of 3.
Great. And did you get a fat for this bird?
Oh yeah, fat of 2.
Great. So in addition to looking for feather replacement, we're also looking at and seeing if this bird is storing any fat on its body. Birds store their fat kind of in this little hollow right around their clavicle that we call the furcular hollow.
So flight feather molt is F.
Great. And this bird is also replacing feathers in the wing. And we're gonna go ahead and record that. So in addition to figuring out the demographics, we're also, while we have the bird in hand, looking at a whole slew of different things, trying to maximize the amount of information we can take on this bird. But note, we are also, while taking this data, monitoring this bird for any signs of stress, and we're also, prioritizing bird safety. That is of our utmost importance. So we'll never hold a bird longer than what is, deemed safe.
Okay, so this is P10.
Great.
I think. So P1 through 9, new.
Great. And I would just maybe describe primaries and then we can...
Sure, yep.
Mm-hmm.
P10, G50, and then I could say there's like a mosaic of some old, interesting, yeah. It's like molting some inner secondaries, but then the innermost are old, it looks like.
Great.
Interesting. Not symmetrical.
Great. Okay. So birds replace their feathers more or less annually. This bird, in the first year of its life, through studies that have been done banding birds out here and other places, we know that they'll 46 for wing.
Yeah.
We know that these birds replace all of their flight feathers. Cool. And so we got a wing chord on this bird. It's like taking, it's like taking the size of the bird. And now we're going to go ahead and weigh the bird. Great. Weighing is oftentimes the last thing that we're doing for these birds, or we're checking for these birds. On my data sheet, I'm also writing down things like what net I caught the bird from, we caught the bird from, what time we pulled the bird out of the net, today's date.
5.9.
5.9. For those of you who can't see, Sam has just put the bird into a film canister upside down as a way to have the bird's wings be pinned so that it's not escaping from the cup in the banding lab. Great. And the bird is now out of the cup. Yeah, okay. That sounds great. What was the weight?
It was what I think I said 5.7.
Great. So this bird weighed 5.7 grams. And just for some context, 5 grams is the weight of a nickel.
A little look at that bird's pale eye and the band on its leg.
Awesome.
All right.
That looks good. And after having taken that data on the bird, we're now gonna let it go. Is that another bush tip maybe?
I think so.
Okay, great.
Do
maybe
we wanna keep this bird and release them together?
Yeah, that sounds great. So we're gonna hold on to this bird. We have another bush tit. We like to release them in a flock or with their flock if we can. And so we're gonna just pop this bush tit back in the bag, hang it back up, and then let it go. I'm currently watching Diana Humple, senior avian ecologist at the field station, bring us a bird in like a rather large bag. Who's it gonna be?
Ooh, interesting.
Great. So maybe we can process this one kind of
Quickly, yeah.
Cool. And I don't know if I don't know if people put it in the comments, but I asked the question, what is migration? Right now, we're in the middle of, fall migration. We're approaching peak fall migration out here. If you could hear that, that was the bush tit making a little bit of noise.
It's a recap.
Cool. So this bird is a recaptured bird. It's one that we have previously banded at the field station. Again, fall migration right now. Migration is the movement of individuals or species from one place to another, and it's often cyclical, so happening on an annual basis. Or it could be a daily basis, like in plankton that are migrating from the depths of the ocean floor to the surface on a day-to-day basis. Cool.
Band number? 2970 21648.
Okay, great. 2970 21648.
Correct.
Great. And this bush tit is just a little bit more vocal than the other one. And oftentimes when we have, more vocal birds, we're trying to process them a little bit more quickly. But both bush tits are birds that are, again, resident species. So they are not migratory to our knowledge. But at this time of year, which is super exciting, we can be catching different types of migrant birds. So we can be catching our breeding summer birds, the birds that bred out here, had nests, raised young, and are now heading south for the winter. We can be catching birds that are only migrants, so maybe they breed just a little bit north of here, and maybe they winter just a little bit south of here, but they don't spend too much time in coastal California. And then we can also be catching our winter migrants, birds that are, have bred, are spending their are spending their summers up in, the boreal forests or Alaska, and are now slowly trickling back into West Marin.
This bird's tricky to skull, so
Okay.
I might 099 it.
So we are not able to figure out the age of this bird, but we can figure out the sex of it.
And this bird, unlike the last one that we banded, this bird has dark eyes. And in bush tits, females have pale eyes and males have dark eyes. So we can call this bird a male.
Great. Any other data on this bird?
I had a 1.
Great.
No BP, no CP. Body molt of 3.
Great.
Flight feather molt of F.
And we're gonna skip.
Yeah, that sounds great. Wear and fade. Wear of 1, fade of 0.
Great.
I don't know if I gave that to you on the last bird, but
Great.
it's the same.
Great.
$46 for wing.
Great. So we've just quickly taken all of the data that we need on this bird. I think we can take a weight on this bird. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Last thing that we're going to do is grab a weight on it. We can compare it to that last bird's weight of 5.7 grams. What do you all think? Is it going to be a little bit heavier? Is it going to weigh a little bit less? This bird has a little bit less fat on it than the other bird.
6.0.
Wow, 6.0. So this bird, even though it has a little bit less fat on it, weighs a little bit more than that other bird. Awesome. And now we will release both of the bush tits together, just outside of the field station. And while Sam heads outside with both of these birds, I'm going to take a look at the comments. Do you have any questions that you might have for us that we can try and answer right now about fall migration, about the banding station?
Okay. Just gonna find her back home.
Awesome. And I can hear the bush tits being released and them making some joyous noises as they leave. Yeah. So we are out here monitoring bird populations using a couple of different methods. We're not only putting bands on the birds and monitoring them through our constant effort mist netting out here, but we're also surveying them in different ways. One of the methods is using primarily sight and sound, so no handling of the birds. We call those either area searches or point counts. Cool. You want to grab that up?
Sure.
And one question that I had for you all is, migration is on the mind. We're thinking about bird movement as they're moving from one place to another and back. And what do you all think? What are some ways that you think that we biologists out here are studying migration in birds? Specifically, how do you think we're figuring out where our birds are going? Cute. The program is all about migrants, but we keep catching resident birds, which is...
we're getting lucky with the residents today.
But we love them regardless. What bird do you have in your hand?
I have a song sparrow in my hand.
And what's that little bling on it?
Yeah, so this is a bird that has already been banded, and here at the station we have a few species of bird that also receive color bands. These are additional lightweight plastic bands that help us to actually identify a bird individually in the field at a distance, because this little numbered silver band is great to read when we have the bird in hand, but it's very difficult to read out in the field. So we put these extra color bands on birds, and it's a unique combination of colors that can help us to identify individuals in the field.
And what's this bird's unique color band combination?
This bird's color combo is S/YKY, and what that stands for, S stands for silver on the left leg, and then yellow, black, yellow on the right leg.
Awesome. Cool. And I don't know if we said it, but this is a song sparrow. It's one of our study species out here at the Palomarin field station. Yeah, and we're going to tell you some information about it.
And I don't know, did Diana mention what net this bird came from?
No, but we can ask her when she gets back.
Sounds good. All right, you want me to give you the color?
Yes.
That
sounds great.
Silver band, great. The band combo is, it's 2261 39570.
Great. I'm going to read it back to you.
Yep.
2261 39570.
Ooh, and it's actually 78.
78, okay.
Checked.
Can I read it back?
Yep.
2261 39578.
Correct.
Great, awesome. Again, this is a song sparrow. It looks really similar to one of the migratory birds that we're hoping to catch in our nets in the coming days or weeks. Fox sparrows have been spending their summers breeding up in Kodiak, Alaska, kind of across coastal Alaska. And they're going to be making their way back down to the Palomarin field station. I just heard one on the road this morning, and fingers crossed Diana is still out on the run checking nets. Hopefully we get another bird for you all before the Facebook Live wraps up. Again, Sam is going through that process of sculling the bird, so peering through the bird's skin and looking at that process of bone growth. With a lot of our birds, we're also looking at things like feather shape and feather quality to help us figure out the age of a bird, but skull is just super reliable right now.
So skull of 6.
Great.
But I guess potentially that could still be a young bird. So.
Yeah, we're at the time of year for song sparrows where our young birds may have already completed that process of bone growth, and so we are actually unable to confirm the age on this bird. But one cool thing is that we've previously put a band on this bird, so it was already marked as a unique individual. And while we're using banding to study the demographics of an area, putting bands on birds also allows us to figure out survivorship or how long they're living. So we'll be able to look back in our data and see on a previous capture, was this bird able to be aged?
All right, so no BP, no CP, no fat.
And so Sam just told me that this bird had no signs of breeding condition, no brood patch or cloacal protuberance. We wouldn't expect that right now.
Right. No body molt. Flight feather molt of A.
Cool. So this bird isn't growing in any body feathers, but it is growing in another feather asymmetrically, or it's not uniform on both sides.
And wear and fade. Let's see. Wear of 1, fade of 0.
Great.
And the adventitious molt, it's just replacing one of its tail feathers. So instead of growing in the tail or growing in different tail feathers symmetrically, I can see here it's just replacing one of them, which we always make note of.
Wing weight tarsus.
Got it.
And so for those of you who were answering the question, how do you think we study migrants out here? We're going to answer that question shortly.
57 for wing.
Great.
Right. So now I'm taking a measurement. Oh.
Copy that. Diana just let us know that she's coming back with 2 more birds.
21.1.
Okay.
And I just took a measurement of one of the bones of the leg. Just wait. Okay. $18.4.
18.4 for this bird's weight. Okay, awesome. And so because this is one of our study species, we're gonna take it back to the net that we captured it at, so as to not, bias our data. And so it's going back in one of those soft little pillowcase bags. Yeah, totally. So in addition to, cool. Hi, Diana. Everyone say hi, Diana.
This one's a migrant if you're focused on that.
Cool.
At all.
Cool.
Nice. And then this is a bird ready to go back to the net. Thanks so
Diana.
much.
Thanks.
Diana Humple bringing in birds for us. This is amazing.
This is great, yeah.
So when people started to put bands on birds back in the, back in the day, I feel like people thought they were gonna find that birds that they put bands on were gonna just end up being caught kind of all across the the places that people were catching birds. But we found that, when we put bands on birds, they're actually returning sometimes yearly to a very specific spot. And, so us understanding, where our birds are going is very important as conservation scientists, because we can be doing a lot of things on one part of the bird's journey, but if the other part of the bird's journey along the way to find its next space is for some reason in peril, we might be unable to figure out what exactly is impacting our birds' populations. And so one way that we'll study our birds, our migratory birds that we have been trying out at the field station, is through the use of GPS trackers and light level geolocators. So these are small tags that go on the bird's back, and they record locations essentially along the course of a bird's migration. And the bird that Sam has in her hand is actually one of the 5 species that we have studied the migratory connectivity, or you can think of it being like the amount of connectedness it has between one location and the other. So using
hermit thrush.
Oh, cool.
I think.
Yeah. Cool. Hermit thrushes are one of, so this bird, Sam just looked at some of the wing patterns on it to figure out if it was one of the summer birds that we had out here, a Swainson's thrush, or one of our wintering hermit thrush birds. And this is exciting. We haven't caught too many hermit thrushes this season. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, I guess they leg gauge, right?
Yeah. Okay. And we're a little bit past time on today's Facebook Live. We're so excited for those of you that got to join us. While Sam takes some data on this bird, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our birdathon. Mm-hmm. So birdathon, we're in the middle of our birdathon season right now, which is running from September 15th to October 15th. And it is our organization's annual fundraiser. We are encouraging folks to participate in Birdathon, whether that be by making your own team or by donating to some of the teams that have already been created. I'm sure that if you look in the comments, you'll be able to find out information about how to join, how to register a team, and how to donate. Essentially, teams will be counting as many birds as they can see over the course of a 24-hour window. And you can either donate by sponsoring teams for, paying a sum for the amount of birds that they see. So like a nickel a bird or 25 cents a bird. Or you can donate in a lump sum to a team. There's like a flat fly flying around right now, one of these ectoparasites that are common on our birds. Our team, the Palomarin Field Stations team, the lookers, we're going to be searching for birds in West Marin over a 24-hour time period. And we're called the Lookers because our team motto is to bird hard, stay focused, and look good. So if you're out in the West Marin area and you see a motley crew of folks who are looking like they're about to go get their glam shots taken, come say hi, we're not that scary, and ask us about what birds we've captured. And one of the cool things is that if you donate to our team, the Lookers, your donation will go not only to the organization, but it will more specifically go to efforts at the Palomarin Field Station directly going to things like funding apprenticeships at the field station, or, helping us put some of the next tags on the back of birds to help us study their migratory connectivity. Again, you can take a look in the comments to learn a little bit more about our birdathon efforts. And again, thanks so much for coming out and joining us for the Facebook Live. You can visit us in person 6 days a week out here at the Palomarin Field Station at the south end of Point Reyes National Seashore. Again, the visitor center is open from sunrise to sunset, but if you want to come see bird banding, try to get out here before midday, before noon. And you can come in kind of as a drop-in visitor, or you can reach out to our team to set up an appointment.
Cool. Happy to show this bird
Yeah.
closer. I know we're over time, but it's just a nice bird to look at kind of close. This is a hermit thrush. Like a nice view on the camera. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's like a line of just little buffy tips to these feathers that I'm kind of pointing at right now. And that shows us that this is a young bird. So this is a bird that hatched this year and is working on its first migration.
So good.
Pretty cool.
And as we sign off, I'll come and show some of the viewers some of our light level geolocator tags that we've put on the back of some of our study species in past. Sits right on the bird's back and gives us really exciting information about where our birds are heading. Thanks again for tuning in, and join us for the next Facebook Live.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Glad it was a birdie day.
Bye.